Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'd like to talk about stress. Now everyone has experienced stress at some point in their life. Unfortunately, I have a lot of experience with stress and also burnout and fatigue and anxiety. I run multiple businesses. My main business is a PR company, and working in PR and communications can be quite stressful sometimes. We have a saying in the industry that it's not ER, it's PR, so calm down. It's only natural to feel a little bit of stress, and sometimes stress just means that you really deeply care about the work that you're doing. So over the years, I've sort of come up with, I guess, my strategies and approach to stress, and I'd like to share with you today my 5 steps of how to cope with stress in the workplace. Step number 1 is identify the stress. This is really important. Don't deny the stress. You know when you're feeling stressed, but then some people will say to you, are you stressed? And you're like, I'm not stressed, I'm totally fine. Don't deny it. Become self-aware and really start to notice your triggers. For me, I know when I'm starting to feel stress. I usually feel it in my stomach. I get a little bit of a tummy ache. I start to get a headache. I feel overwhelmed, and sometimes my head just feels really foggy. And sometimes I notice that things just take a little bit longer to do when I'm feeling stress, and I don't feel in that constant state of flow. So one of the things that I've worked out, what really works for me, is actually just writing down and identifying what is actually stressing me out. When I identify it and I pinpoint it, usually it takes the power out of what is stressing me out, and I can kind of just go, okay, I see you, I got you, and then I just let it wash over me and I can move on. Step number 2 is you have to recover from the stress. So once you've identified it, you've written it down, get up. You have to get up and get out of the environment of where you currently are. The best thing really, and I know everyone talks about it and it's so frustrating, exercise. You really have to go outside, get some fresh air, go for a walk, go for a run, whatever you enjoy, and just get those endorphins moving. It really does help. So that's one of the very first things that I do. Then I like to get out of my head. I really have to just focus on being where I am. So looking around. Usually I'll go for a walk and I'll really start to focus on what's around me. I'll listen to the birds, I'll notice the houses that I'm walking by, and I'll just really tune in to actually where I am at that particular time, and I'll acknowledge them as well. This really helps me to get into present time. So the other thing that I like to do once I've gone for a walk, I've been, very mindful, I'm looking around, I'm getting out of my head, I then like to take control of something. Just take action on one thing. It feels really good. It also makes you feel like you're being productive, and then I feel like it's a domino effect. Once I've ticked one thing off my list, I then quickly want to move on and do something else. Being productive is a real stress reliever for me. Next thing I like to do is force myself to relax. Now your whole mind and your body will say, are you kidding me? I'm stressed. I do not have time to relax. This is actually the time when you have to relax. You have to remember that relaxing and resting and switching off is actually part of the work. It took me a really long time to work that one out. So force yourself to have a relaxing bath, or go to yoga, or meditate, or simply just light a candle and relax and really let your mind unwind. Everything within your body when you're feeling stress is going to say, no, I don't have time for this. Ignore that voice and do it anyway. You really have to focus on slowing your mind down so it can reset and then start again feeling a lot more refreshed. After a really stressful day, I really like to make sure that night I get a lot of sleep, at least 8 hours. Now, this is the tricky bit, technology. We are all addicted to it, and I find it really hard to not sleep with my phone next to me. But when I've had a really stressful day, I actually have to be really mindful to make sure I get that phone away from me, have a nice calming herbal tea before I go to bed, and make sure I get those 8 hours of rest and sleep. I like to read a book before I go to bed, and I just make sure that I get a really good night's sleep so I can wake up feeling refreshed, and I can start the day again and hopefully not feel as stressed. Step number 3, scheduling positive change for the next week. This is really important. Get your calendar out, get your diary out, and start to schedule in things that are actually really going to help you. So one thing that I found really helpful is every morning and every night scheduling in time to be grateful and reflective. It's as easy as writing in a diary or just on a piece of paper 3 things that I'm really grateful for at the start of the day. And then at the end of the day, I like to sit down and think about 3 great things that happened on that particular day. It might be something really small, but just having that reflective mindset and really pinpointing the positive things just helps you have a more positive and healthy mindset. The other thing that I like to do when I'm feeling particularly stressed is ensure that I'm eating right. So the weeks get so busy and, my days can just be, back-to-back meetings. Sometimes it's really hard to eat healthy, especially if you're in back-to-back meetings all day. So I like to food prep, and I usually do this on a Sunday, just like to prepare a few things that I can have in the fridge. I'm ready to go. When I'm eating right, I feel like I'm a lot less stressed. I don't know what it is, but with me, I found that sugar actually really affects me, and it makes me feel quite anxious and it makes me feel quite stressed. When I've eliminated sugar from my diet, it's helped me just be a lot more calmer, it helps me sleep better, and I just feel lighter and I feel better within myself. So if you are starting to feel stressed, just think about what you're eating, what you're putting in your mouth, and if you can do some food prep just to make sure that you do have healthy options to choose from. That's something that's really helped me. So sleep, I've spoken briefly about sleep, but for this particular week, when you're scheduling out the things in your diary that's important for you to focus on, especially when you're in that kind of state of stress, 8 hours of sleep every night is really important. We know this, but it's hard sometimes to get 8 hours, especially if you're running around and you're busy and your mind's so active that when you go to bed, sometimes it's hard to fall asleep. But I found it's really helpful if I actually schedule it into my diary and in my calendar, and then I can also schedule in things that help me relax at the end of the evening to encourage a really healthy, good night's sleep. The other thing I like to do is create a list of non-negotiables that helps me stay kind of happy and healthy. So things for me are definitely exercise, definitely getting out to the farm and seeing my horse and being in nature. That's a really big non-negotiable for me, and I have to do that at least once a week. Eating healthy, staying away from the sugar. These things just help me be the best version of myself that I can be. Okay, step number 4, exchange bad habits for good habits. Sounds pretty simple, right? One thing that I've noticed with myself is that I am starting to practice saying no to the things that just don't serve me. Sometimes people will invite you to things and you're going to have a really crazy busy week, and you schedule it in anyway. But when you schedule it in, you've sort of got that feeling of like, oh gosh, that's going to be hard to kind of get through that because I've got such a full-on day, and then the next day is crazy. I really should be going home and having a good night's sleep and a healthy dinner and relaxing, but instead you say yes to the event that you don't really want to go to, and then you end up feeling so tired and frustrated and kind of angry and resentful for saying yes to the thing that you really want to say no to the thing in the first place. So I have started practicing just saying no thank you, or I'd really love to be able to go to that event, but I just can't, I've got such a crazy week. The next thing that I've learned that has really helped, especially in the workplace, is asking for help. When you ask someone for help, most of the time they want to help you out and they want to help you get through something. I know if someone asks me for help, I'm always the first to go, absolutely, like let's have a look at everything and let's make sure that we can help each other out, so that the workplace is actually a really enjoyable place to be. I know sometimes people are stuck in bad situations and they feel like they can't ask for help, but I'm sure if you put your hand up and you just said, hey, you know what, my workload is crazy, I'm going to need some help. It's actually not realistic for me to be doing these 10 things. I'm not going to be doing those 10 things really well. So ask for help, put your hand up. Most people do want to see you succeed, and I'm sure they'll help you, especially if they're on your team. The next thing that's really helped me is actually scheduling in breaks during the day and slow time to do whatever you want. This could be time for you to read a book, watch something silly on YouTube, listen to a song, meditate. It's slow time, it's you time, and schedule this in every day. It might only be 15 minutes, but again, it makes you feel like you're actually in control of the day and that you're running the show instead of the show running you. It's really important to schedule in these breaks. I never used to do this, but the moment I started just, scheduling in 15 minutes here, 20 minutes there, and I'll just put it in my calendar, no meetings, slow time, and the people in my team know not to schedule me in for any particular things. And It's really just helped me feel much more in control of my day, and it makes me feel happier because I'm doing the things that are actually serving me. Okay, my next tip is really obvious. Drink less alcohol and less caffeine, and drink more water. I don't know what it is about water, but water makes me feel really good. If I've got a headache, if I'm feeling a little bit sick, water is a great answer. Just stay hydrated. You won't regret it. The next thing that I've started doing is every time I start to think about something negative, I have to think of at least 2 really positive things to override that negative thought. Again, this is about changing those bad habits into good habits. And this is a habit that I'm slowly starting to get into. It's hard. It's really hard, especially if you're in a bad mood or you're feeling stressed. Everything just goes to negative. But it's really important to be self-disciplined. So when you feel like that negative thought is coming up, pick another thought. In fact, pick 2 more thoughts, positive thoughts, to override that negative thought, and then just get on with the day. Step number 5 is check in and evaluate. So before you start to spiral into another state of stress again, check in weekly and just become really self-aware of how you're feeling. Start to notice those early warning signs of stress and really review your non-negotiables. If you're starting to feel overwhelmed again, go back to that non-negotiables list, review it. Have you started to kind of negotiate on those non-negotiables? That's something that I've really started to get into the habit. And whenever I'm starting to feel stressed, I do go back to that list that I've created. I'm like, I haven't been for a horse ride for 2 weeks, or I haven't been actually eating the right food. So just adjusting those things has really helped me get back into a more kind of healthy mindset. I'd love to hear from you. If you've got any tips or strategies on the things that help you stay in control of your life and your stress levels, leave a comment below and let's get this conversation started. We can all help each other to live happier and healthier lives. Hope you've enjoyed this video. It's great to be here again doing more of this sort of content. Look forward to seeing you in my next video. Take care. Bye.